the best way because we don't have still a distribution center there. It's expensive, but if you try to do
Yeah.
it yourself, it's even more expensive. So it's better to do it through the company.
Is
Yeah.
is it shipping from the United States or can we ship from one of the other like
I don't know from what country they ship because they opened two new distribution centers in Asia. They were shipping from Hong Kong, but I don't know if they changed. But the best way is just to place an order, make sure sign the person in Australia. When you go in Australia, and then when they place the order is going to go with them. The best way that's right now because we don't have a distribution center there yet. Although we can have the products there.
Yeah. No, that's right. And I'm not too sure where it is either. I know that we have an office in Jakarta, which is
Correct.
close Bali, and a lot of Australians come there. It's Jakarta, Indonesia is closer to Australia than Hong
Mhm.
Kong, but I don't know uh, if they're shipping out of Jakarta. But George was absolutely right. That just use the company because they're going to find the best shipping way to go for sure.
yeah,
But it's
it's
Correct.
still
gonna,
really expensive. I
yeah.
checked into that yesterday from the United States.
Yeah.
Have you
Well,
tried
if
the
you are
flat
shipping
rate
here,
box?
But
yeah.
You can use flat rate shipping to Australia, which is what I'm doing with all my products. Because if I ship from the company to Guam, it takes like a couple weeks to get there. But because I'm shipping my own, since I'm leaving on Sunday, I want it to get there. I want it to be there when I get there. So I'm doing the flat rate shipping box to
To the
Guam.
post office?
Yes, through the post office. That's the cheapest and the fastest way to go if you want it to get there faster.
All right, thank you.
You're
that's
welcome.
interesting. All right, that's good to know. All right. All right. Anyone else? That's all good subjects. And that which brings up another comment regarding that. That is why it's easier to do business right now in the countries that we're already established in with an office. Um,
Yes.
like
Something else I was going to mention about Guam is a U.S. territory. It works different than Australia. It's going to be more expensive to Australia.
Yeah, it'll be the international flat rate.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how much they charge internationally, but
Yeah.
with Guam, it's the same price as shipping, 3 day shipping over here or next day
Yes.
shipping.
Yeah,
Yep,
because it's U.S. territory. But when you start dealing with Australia, you're dealing with taxes and,
that's true.
and you're dealing with the shipping. And that's why it's better to leave the company to do their job
Mm.
because it's more expensive. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's exciting. So that's where when I'm trying to build in a country, I'm trying to build into a country like Hong Kong, Taiwan, Greater China, um, Malaysia now, Jakarta, because there's an office there and the people can actually go pick up product right there. And they're shipping out from those different destinations. So it's easier than because the shipping could be very expensive, even to Vietnam or to Thailand, because we don't have an office there yet. So you can, but it's just more expensive. So just try to make it more easy. Okay, today I want to talk about immigrants. George and I were talking about this about a week and a half ago. And then I started talking to my people about it. And because this is a big market that a lot of you have not really tapped into, but I want to tell you why immigrants have a special place in our society. Of course, we're all immigrants, aren't we? My parents came from, Germany and Ireland and all of that. And we came over, but there's something unique and different about us in our genes because we were really adventurous. I was thinking about my grandmother, uh, Grandma Bershad came from Germany with her brother at 17 years old. They left Germany on a ship coming to San Francisco. And I remember receiving, I have the Bible still. They came with them and it was written in German. And it said, and the parents said, the next time that we see you will be in heaven. They knew that they would not see them again. It's not like they just fly over. There were no airplanes. But so they were risk takers. They were special people that had that in their genes. And I think that's also what's made America great here. We all have those genes that we were dared to be different and to come to this country. And so let's talk about the immigrants and even the new groups of immigrants that you want to tap into, and kind of remember this. It said, immigrants hold an outsized share of wealth among billionaires. Immigrant billionaires hold well, I just read that. There are 125 foreign-born billionaires in the United States, comprising of about 14% of the 900 US billionaires. Collectively, these immigrant billionaires hold $1.3 trillion, which represents about 18% of the total billionaire wealth in the US. So immigrants are 14% of the population of the US billionaires, but control roughly 18% of the billionaire wealth. Here's a snapshot of Forbes 2025 list of immigrant billionaires this year, focusing on those that are foreign-born or whose parents were immigrants based on the latest data released in July 2025. So this is up to date. We have Elon Musk, who is worth $415 billion among the world's top 3. I think he is the richest man now. Born in South Africa. We all know about he's the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, etc. Now, I can't pronounce some of these names. Sergey Brin, $442 billion, immigrated from Russia, co-founder of Google. Jensen Huang, 149 billion, Taiwan-born immigrant, CEO of Nvidia. Jay Chandri, 18 billion, born in America, founder of, I don't know, it's the CEO of a Scalar. Vinod Khosla, born in India, 9.2 billion, co-founder of Sun Microsystems, VC firm. And there's another Chinese name here, 6 points, no, it's Indian. Rakesh Gangwal, 6.6 billion, born in India, co-founder of India Go Airlines. And then we have Romesh Wadhwani, 5 billion, born in Karachi, moved to India, founder of Symphony AI. And then we have Rajay Jain, 4.8 billion, born in India, founder of GOG Partners. And then we have another Indian, oh no, this is Bindad Ingbali, 4.4, born in Iran, co-founder of Clear Lake Capital. And we have Janie Galinsky, 10.7 billion, second generation banker, real estate developer. And if you even look at Bezos, he's a second generation from Cuba. And then you've got, who was the guy for the Apple? I went blank for a second. George, who was the guy, Apple? His parents were from Syria. But these, I can't hear you.
Steve Jobs, his
Steve
father
Jobs,
was from
Steve
Syria,
Jobs.
yeah. His father was from Syria.
Yeah, Steve Jobs, okay? But these guys and these people are different. They think differently, they're hardworking. And it says, but guess what? Why immigrants thrive in network marketing. I want you to think about this now. Why it's a perfect fit. Immigrants arriving in the United States frequently embody a combination of resilience, ambitions, resourcefulness that aligns seamlessly with the core demands of network marketing. The entrepreneurial model, which relies on personal initiative, social connections, and the ability to inspire trust, often appeals to individuals who have already taken bold steps to reshape their futures. Number 1, resilience, rooted in experience. They are calculated risk takers, these immigrants. Immigration itself is a courageous decision, a leap into the uncertainty with the goal of improving life. That same mindset enables immigrants to embrace new business models even when they involve unconventional paths or delayed rewards. That's kind of like networking, if you think about it. Unconventional, not just trading time for money. Adaptability, navigating language barriers, cultural shifts, and bureaucratic systems sharpens their problem-solving skills, essential for learning and pivoting and succeeding in evolving markets. Long-term vision. Many first-generation immigrants accept short-time struggle for long-term gain. Network marketing rewards consistent effort over time, aligning with this delayed gratification approach. So they're willing, even though they don't see it immediately, they're willing to do that long-term vision. 2, strong community ties and trust networks. Relation-driven cultures. Immigrants often come from societies where word of mouth, familiar trust, and personal reputation carry significant weight in ideal ecosystem for network growth. Think about that. That's why they clan together. Immigrants come from societies where word of mouth, familiar trust, and personal reputation carry significant weight. Shared aspirations. In a tight-knit community, success stories spread quickly. Immigrants have strong incentives to uplift others with their cultural networks, creating organic recruiting channels. You get one of these leaders in that community talking about, and they all trust each other. Boy, it spreads like wildfire. Support systems. Many immigrants rely on informal mentorship and communal learning. These dynamics mirror how successful network marketers teach and duplicate their systems. 3, their hunger for economic mobility and autonomy. Limited traditional opportunities for them. Immigrants may face barriers to traditional employment due to documentation issues, credential recognition, or bias. Network marketing provides an alternative pathway, not bound by these constraints. And I believe this is true. I think the Hispanic immigration, the population, I think that's the fastest growing immigration, a group of immigrants in America that's just growing right now. Low startup costs. Most network marketing models have relatively low barriers to entry for individuals with limited capital, but abundant motivation. This opened doors that conventional businesses often close for them. Yeah, I mean, even for a lot of these people, them to do 2,800 in a pro pack, they've saved a lot of their money. A lot of times they'll go, wow, you could start a business for 2,800? Wow, this is incredible. So don't discount it. Don't think they're immigrants, they don't have the money. Many times they have money under their mattresses. Flexible cash schedules. Many immigrants juggle multiple responsibilities, jobs, caregiving, language classes. The flexibility of MLMs lets them build businesses on their own terms. Entrepreneurial mindsets and work ethic. Work ethic as a legacy. Many immigrant households instill a mindset of diligence and perseverance. These traits are prized and often required for sustained success in network marketing. I think that you'll see that's why a lot of the Chinese, you look at people like Kim Wee, they were immigrants. She's second generation. Her parents came with $2,000 that they borrowed from an aunt that lived in Canada to come to America. And 4 girls, they had 4 girls, the mother and the father, slept in that room. No mattresses. And they had a little piece about meat. I thought it was for a week with the rice. It was that meat that they got from Safeway was once a month, and her mother would cut it off. But their thing was education. This is the land of opportunity, and they were willing to sacrifice. And so Kim saw that and rose up to take advantage of that. She appreciated that. All right, learning by doing. Immigrants frequently teach themselves new skills in real time. This bias towards action pairs well with MLMs, where momentum often beats perfection. You know, they would just keep trying, moving, changing, shifting. Adaptation, they adapt to market trends, from leveraging social media to learning CRM systems. Immigrant entrepreneurs tend to be early adopters of out of necessity. That they just think differently. They're not lazy like Americans. They're always trying to figure out an angle. You know, they'll come and say, "Okay, we could do this. Let's figure this out." They adapt to what's going on in their society and how to make the business work. Where many times I would say the Americans that have been here for a while just learn to go to school, do this, trade time for money, and they don't think out of the box. But these immigrants do. They think, okay, how can we figure this out? How can we do this? And that's why they succeed many times before others. Multicultural advantage. Language proficiency. Bilingual and multilingual individuals can communicate across diverse audiences, giving them access to wider markets. So maybe they speak Spanish and now they speak English, or maybe they speak multiple languages. I notice people from Europe, they speak multiple languages, where a lot of Americans only speak one language, like me. Well, I do speak Spanish a little bit, but not much, poquito. But they can do multiple languages, so they can go through different groups of people. Cultural empathy. Immigrants are adept at navigating identity, perception, values across communities. This helps them tailor outreach and build rapport in ways that transcends marketing scripts. Global network potential. Immigrants' ties to family and friends across borders make international expansion more accessible. So network marketing is a perfect model for them. Networking marketing rewards effort, rational skills, authentic storytelling, all traits immigrants often bring in an audience. As they channel their ambition into scalable opportunities, their stories can inspire not just personal transformation, but community uplift. For many, networking isn't just a job. It's re-imaging of their migration journey into a new form of empowerment. So I think this is really, really something all of you need to think about, because immigrants, network marketing is the perfect model for them. I know George is an immigrant coming from Venezuela. And would you agree with this? And that's why if you can get in, think about all your people. I mean, get into the Indian community. They stick together. Get into the Hispanic community. They tell their stories. Maybe it's the Cubans in Miami. It's the West Africans. Look, Elizabeth is basically an immigrant coming from, I think she's a perfect example. The American dream leaves West Africa to come to America and sees, listen to this, and Elizabeth, why don't you talk about this? I remember your story about your father, but your grandfather had been a prime minister. And then suddenly she goes and says, I'm going to America. And then she tells her dad, I'm going to join Mary Kay. And he goes, Mary Kay, sales? You don't do sales. And then he finds out, he goes, wait a minute, you can make a difference, because he was a humanitarian too. And then she got into her community and gave hope. Do you want to speak on that, Elizabeth?
A little. I can speak a little. I hope you can hear me. Sorry, I'm driving to an appointment with Zondi.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say that I think for every immigrant, because we all come with stories, and it really doesn't matter the background. I think we all come here for a certain kind of freedom. At least that was for my case. And even though the onset is always education when you're younger, that's a lot of people that I know. But there's a certain kind of freedom you want. And I know that America was so important to me, not England. My dad thought England was better, but I thought that would be so boring. So no offense. But yeah, my background, especially with my family, was education, which is where a lot of West Africans, so Africans thrive. I think African in the past 20 years are just now getting into the understanding of network, because for us, the freedom was about having diplomas and diplomas. And so it's very common to see people with 2 PhDs, and have a lot in our community. And they're very under the radar for many reasons. And it's almost like the culture thrives to be under the radar in order for them to move up. So, and it is different with a lot of different cultures according to, the American history. And so there's a lot that thrives underneath, but they did not understand the network marketing, because it was very looked upon as the lowest thing to do. Like, you have to be dumb not to do that. I mean, to be dumb to do that. And this still really permeates the diasporan culture. And I know it is also for many Asian background. And so and now in the 20 years, it definitely is a market that's thriving. I mean, I know friends who are making over 5 million in network marketing. I know one of them who was a PhD, double PhD, top job, making over almost 300,000, and left all of that to get into this network marketing. So now it's a thing that's coming, and people, and they want to study. Everything is, they got to use their brain and study it and see all the reports. So I came into that because I came from a background also where people were very self-employed, and I saw a freedom in network marketing, even though I did not understand, and I went in. And I know many people, you know, that with, like, we all know people outside, but you just, and another thing I really want to say, which is typical for an immigrant, if you see somebody, at the very least, if you see them working in McDonald's, maybe a nursing home or whatever, guys, it isn't as guys. They are never labeled by where they are, especially an immigrant. Ask them how long they've been here, who were they when they were in their country. You would find out that people highly educated. It usually is a language barrier and they're willing to start from the very bottom, but in no time they're coming up. And they have always a huge network. Once they trust you, and most of these people stay within. So it is not about what you know and how much you can offer or the money you flash. They're not interested. What they're interested in is trusting you. So when you can relate and you can get into them, maybe eat their food and have that interest, they take you into everybody else. And the other people open their doors, not because of so much, because this person said you are somebody who they can relate to, kind of like that, when you're looking at some of these communities. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect, Elizabeth. And it's so true. And that's one of my comments was saying, the hunger for economic mobility and autonomy. Immigrants may face barriers to traditional employment due to documentation issues, credential recognition, or bias. Network marketing provides an alternative pathway not bound by these constraints. You see, they have an equal opportunity to become successful. And I think that is very important. And trust is a big thing. So I know now Irene comes from the Guam community. And so what she's flying back to Guam, and the Filipinos have their groups of people. And many times they're with their group and they're protective, not that they don't like, but they're just comfortable. But once they get to know you, then they allow you to come into their group. Now you can offer this opportunity to eat with them. I was talking about this about a week ago when I was traveling in Indonesia. I would travel in cars, and then I'd go to the homes, and they were mostly Muslims in Indonesia, although it has 4 distinct religions. It has Christian, Hindu, Muslim, and Buddha. And this time, mostly, it's about 80% Muslim. So as we drove through the mountains and then we came to a house, they knew I was coming. But then they had the food on the floor, and then we had bowls of food. But I sat down there and ate with them. As you always want to assimilate and you want to become a mirror of who they are. So I became one of them, and they liked me and they trust me. And so then they would bring their other friends in to meet me. And then I would end up going to another restaurant where 20 or 30 people would show up. Oh, come meet this lady from America. She's so nice. Now they trusted me. And then they would come in. I remember being in Indonesia on another spot where I went and had one of my consultants at that time. I walked down the streets. I was probably the tallest person in Indonesia. And I'm not saying you have to go to Indonesia. I'm just saying just adapting into the cultures of these people. They invited me into the house, and the mother, they had white bread, and they had honey, and they had corn and puff bread the grandmother had made for me. And I sat, had tea, and they made coffee for me, tea. And we sat there, and all the neighbors were looking out like, oh, who's this lady, and oh my gosh, everyone want to take pictures with me. And you'll see sometimes on my website, I'll show pictures of Indonesia. I'm like this giant, and the people are like right here, real small. But then afterwards, then we went to the restaurant where we had a guest event, and they brought all their friends to hear all about it. So you learn to adapt and get in there. Once they trust you, it's easier. So I want you to think today about who do you know in the communities, who do you know in the Indian, and looking for leaders. And I would be going to say, we're building in America here, and then we're going to expand globally, e-commerce across the world. Who do you know that would be a great leader in the Indian community? Ask them, would you be interested, or do you know of other people? And the same thing in all the communities, looking for the leaders who will step up and become the role models, and they will attract in the storytelling and giving hope to the community. George, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, I have very important statistics. 33% of the U.S. And people born in the U.S., 33% of the people in the U.S. has a college degree. From South America, 38% of the people that come here from South America has a college degree. Think about that. There is a misconception many times, and that's why it's no surprise that there are so many leaders from South America and also from the Caribbean in the network marketing industry. Because many people, we always think that the Spanish people that come here are not educated, but this is very interesting. But this is even a very more powerful thing. Let me see, because I was looking. This is from the Census Bureau, by the way.
Okay, and so you're saying 33% of Americans, U.S., have college degrees, but 38% of South Americans have college degrees.
Yeah, but this is more powerful. 56% from people that come from Venezuela has a college degree. 56%. It's even way higher. In other words, South Americans.
Thank you.
And people from Venezuela, they have a high percent of people that have graduated from college. The same happened with Colombia. It's very similar.
What is it, 215?
I lost the number.
Yeah, Allison is not on the speaker.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
I just close it, I think.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think that's really important.
That's very impressive. Yeah. And the reason I'm saying this is because they always a misconception of many people. And the reason is because in the past, especially immigration through the border come from Mexico and some countries in South America, where very poor people going here looking for a job. And by the way, there are some leaders from network marketing that have come from there too, by the way. many people that come from Mexico, etc. But these countries are farther away. South America is farther away. It's why most are come here the regular way by flying, and that's why the degree is higher. But anyway, that's what I wanted to bring those numbers.
No, but I think that is important that they, a lot of them are educated, but they're hardworking. And like Elizabeth was saying, you might see them as a waitress, but they don't know where to go, where to get a job, and you just think, oh, they're just a waitress. No, they could be highly educated. So it's always asking those questions. Tell me about you. What do you do? How long where are you from? How long have you been here? Did you come for the American dream? Are you planning to be a waitress the rest of your life? No. Well, what would you like to do? I might have a solution for you. Would you be open? Just hearing about an opportunity. And most of them will, because they're looking for opportunity. And that was my Uber driver. Remember, maybe I didn't mention on here, it was another call with my people. But when I was going to Malaysia and Taiwan, I had a driver, and he's from Afghanistan. And he was an interpreter for the U.S. Army. He worked for the Army. And then he was able to come he and his brother were able to come across and in 2015-16. And then they applied, they were able to get a green card, and then they became a U.S. citizen. And they're driving cars, but they're always looking for opportunity. When I told him where I was going, what I was doing, he says, oh, tell me more about this. We're always looking for opportunities. So I had him here at my house last weekend. And one of the things he liked, oh, you have links. You don't have to stock product. Oh, this would be great. I could even offer to my clientele. But they're always looking for more. And his goal was to pay off his mortgage. He bought a home, and it's about $400,000. And he and his wife, then he brought his wife over, which is another story. He was able to sneak her out, and because there's no embassy there. Now, this is where this courageous immigrants are coming from. Even though he had a U.S. passport, he snuck back in. He had kind of an arranged marriage, and the embassy would not allow, they couldn't issue any status to get paperwork because, Afghanistan has fallen now to the Taliban, which is just a rogue crook group, gang, really. So he had to sneak her. He got a visa, apparently, from the Taliban group just to go visit Pakistan. But when he got to Pakistan, then he said he was able to go to the U.S. Embassy, and they got paperwork. Then they had to move her to Qatar, and then she was in Qatar, and then he was able to fly her over here. So they did everything legally, but it was difficult. But they're improvised. They will figure ways out to make anything happen. He had to sneak back in his country, go back. When he came to my house, interesting enough, I have a lot of artwork, and one of the pieces of art I have is a big, big framed Afghanistan child ceremonial dress. You know how Sunnis people, like the Japanese, will put the kimonos in there. I found it in a flea market, and I put it up there, and it's beautiful. And it was the first time I'd ever had an Afghanistan person see it. Other people have come and I said, oh, isn't that beautiful? Where is that? I says, from Afghanistan. And he said to me, oh, that's beautiful. He says, but the next time I go back to Afghanistan, I'll bring you back a dress that's even more beautiful. And so he wanted to, I said, well, I would be glad to pay for it. He says, no, it'll be a gift. So they trust me, and I really got to know them as a family. And so that's what you want to do, is you want to build a relationship with the immigrants to get into their community. In the Afghanistan world, a lot are in Virginia, Texas, Sacramento, California, and of course, up here in Denver, Colorado, because Denver, it looks like Afghanistan with the snow-capped mountains, and then the desert terrain too. So the whole purpose of this Immigrants are a great market. You find a great leader in each immigrant community, a leader who will spread the stories of opportunity. You could build you want to be diversified. You could become really huge. And so that's my message today. Entrepreneurs. And
Thank you very much.
Immigrants. Okay.
Thank you very much, Christine. A great call, especially because sometimes there are so many misconceptions. Like in the case of Venezuela, there right now there was a gang group called the Tren de Aragua, has 500 members. But in the US, there are 200,000 Venezuelans. For some reason, some people say everybody belongs to the Tren de Aragua. It's only 500 people. It's just that it's a gang and make a lot of noise, bad noise. Sadly, but the majority of people, like I said, 56% people coming from Venezuela have a college degree. And if you come across many of them, they could be waiting tables. I could be an attorney. I was waiting tables and I had computer science. Come on, I love numbers, as you know, and I used to wait tables. Of course, that was many, many centuries ago, literally in the last century, in the 80s, in the 80s. But this is the thing, and the reason is because the perspective is different, because we are seeing everything from the outside, and from the outside it's easy to see the opportunity. When you are born, sometimes you take something for granted. You see it with kids. I mean, they don't have their phone and they feel that the world ended for them because they take everything for granted. And that's why it's so important to keep in mind. But we have a lot of people that, again, great immigrants or kids that immigrant, like Nicole Baron, her parents came from Hungary. I mean, or her husband from Italy. I mean, they have, you see so many leaders here that not only were, or maybe were not born here, but their parents came from another country. That's something that for us to keep in mind, because a group and tend to integrate very fast, especially when they are coming, when they are educated, tend to integrate very fast.
Excuse me, George, because that's really good. Exactly what you're saying. You're absolutely right. Also, this is how you build globally. You build locally with the market, and then you expand. You meet people here in the communities, and then they know people. Maybe meet Chinese here in Orange County. You get to know them, the Koreans, whatever, because we're not in Korea yet. But if we were to open, then they know people in other countries.
Elizabeth has a question, I think.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, George, for the call. I just wanted to say that Christine mentioned something when we have this call about how a lot of those billionaires are first or second generation. And so in terms of how the world is globalizing, which is not political, but it's just a wave. It's like Christine had said, from the 18th century to the 19th, from the Industrial Revolution and now to AI, there's a wave that's happening it's not going to change. It's just what it is. So in terms of how the world is coming together as a people, and in this great nation, there are more people who are coming together that way. So I just think that there's such an opportunity today when we're able to be open and look at people beyond what we might have thought it was, because of course, we would not know, I wouldn't know. But in terms of resilience, this is something that's hardly said for people who migrate in the country legally. And I only say this so we can really appreciate the level of determination and resilience is one that could be unfathomed in this time in America. Just to get the papers going and become legal. Sometimes it's almost like a shameful thing because it's so sensitized and people don't talk about it. But I can say that the sheer resilience in going through that, sometimes it took me 15 years to get my citizenship, and actually 20 years to get my citizenship, and then another 7 or 8 years to get my green card. So there's a lot. It doesn't matter your background because you're coming into a new country with a different set of rules, and then you have to hire attorneys in some cases so that they can deal with that situation. And while you're working and figuring out life, And so there's a lot, I mean, I'm saying this is a lot of resilience. So if we open in terms of our humanity, you can really connect with people and you trust them. Another thing I just wanted to mention is that you know, there are many people who come in with credit cards and just swipe them, but this communities work very differently. So it is really a matter of us connecting as a people and and then just being, you know, beyond everything. And I just trust that it will be amazing. And it's not just in one community. I'm always challenging myself to go beyond one. I am from Cameroon, West Africa, and sometimes people might think a Kenyan or a Cameroonian, which is in East Africa, are the same. No. So in this community, you know, it's always trying to meet people from, I pride myself in saying, I got to have friends from every community that I know where I can sit and eat their food and have that for years. And I've always done that. So I think there's such room for us to grow as we're just starting as a company. And I love that about 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was something you said too, which was good, Elizabeth. Even they don't have credit cards, they do things with cash. So
Yes.
you have to know who you're dealing with in their communities and how they operate. So you just have to adapt on that.
Yes.
That's right. I think Caroline has something to say. You have your microphone off. Okay, go ahead, Caroline.
Real quick. So just because my parents were immigrants, I mean, everybody has immigrants, almost people, but my dad was from Switzerland, my mom was from Canada. And my grandfather was Italian. And so they all moved to the US. When my grandfather came from Canada, he told my mom, either you get married to my dad now, or you leave him behind. You're coming to California. And they took the trek over to California, and my mom and dad did get married. And the priest asked my dad, Mom and Dad, do you have to get married? Because they're Catholic. And my mom was insulted by that. So anyway, but they live in the US and they pinched their pennies, right? And they're very successful entrepreneurs. My dad was a baker and my mom was a psychologist and teacher when she was 20. And so now, you know, I learned from them. I'm a first American here. In 62, I was born. And so it shows that the immigrants are very successful. And I think I hate to say it, but they're more, like you were saying, I think the Americans, I don't want to say we're lazy, but they work hard and everybody works hard. But, you know, and when everybody asks my mom where she's from, she says, oh, from Maui or California. They go, no, really, where are you from? She goes, I'm an American. But she's really a Canadian, you know? So that's, you know, and she's proud to be an American. So anyway, she was very successful and I learned from her. So,
well, you know, Caroline, I think that's really true. I was reflecting back, you said that they pinched their pennies and they work harder. I think as Americans, we have such luxuries like running water. One of the things I said to the Afghanistan chauffeur and his wife when I went to their home to have tea, and she put things out for me. I said, what do you love? And he says, oh, we love it. We have running water, clean running water, and water to flush the toilet. See, they don't, and I said, oh, you don't have that in Afghanistan. No, they have to carry pails of water and go for water. So to them, what a luxury. But Americans, we're kind of spoiled. I think that's what I want to say. Not necessarily lazy, but we've become accustomed. It just, isn't this great? Everything's wonderful. You know, the immigrants are really grateful and will work really hard.
Well, it's because people take things for granted, like I said, because because I had running water when I was in Venezuela. I mean, but I'm talking about the opportunities. The opportunities here are much wider. I mean, you can go to the internet today. When you can go to the library, like I think it was Dennis Wakely, the one that said, you go to any public library and you can find information on how to become wealthy in everything and anything, a baker, network marketing, and anything. And today on the internet, even more. The opportunities are so big here, more than in most countries. And that's one of the reasons that many people that are born here, they don't see that because it's like a fish that has always been in the water. I've always been surrounded by water. It's taken for granted. And that's the main difference. But of course, there are many Americans that are successful too, because then as soon as they see it, say, wow, we have an incredible opportunity. Because when we say the land of opportunity, it's true. Still, the U.S. create more entrepreneurs than any other country in the world. More billionaires, the number one billionaires in the country, in the world right now. Still, even that China is growing very fast, is number two. But still, it's just sometimes we take things for granted. That's it.
Yeah.
And anything.
Anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. I get
no,
excited.
Just go ahead. That's why I wanted to say.
But that was one of the things he said. Even in Afghanistan or in some of these countries, even if you were to try to rise up with education, there's a class difference also. And he said some of the people that own all the money now, the Taliban, are these people, even before, if they have all the money, they only sell their beautiful homes among those people. Even if you were to rise up, if you could get there, they would not sell it to you because they try to keep you suppressed in most of these countries, these third world countries. So for them to be able to rise up is huge for them. And they don't have that. Even if they're really smart and finally get an education, there's still a class difference in there.
Yeah.
I found that
in many countries, even in Europe. I think Janet was going to say something. Janet?
What about sponsoring somebody that has only a green card? Is that possible?
Yeah, green card is legal. Yeah. It's somebody that has the right to work here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's to pass the first step is to have a green card. The second step is citizenship. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no problem with green cards.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, that's the first step for anybody before become citizen that come from another country. Well, there are other kind of visa, but the green card is the most common.
So just be open. I guess that's what we're saying today. There's a whole market out there of immigrants that maybe you have not talked to because you had preconceived ideas. So I want you to be thinking about and how the networking model is perfect for them with the storytelling and getting into the communities and it spreads and they trust each other. You can grow quicker and faster if you get that right person. That's my message today.
That's right. That's right. Anybody, any question before we go? We could go deeper into this, I think.
George, real quick. Here's my contractor from Guatemala.
Hey, how are you?
See, there we are.
Hello, hola, ¿cómo estás?
He's 30 years old.
Well, see, we have a great opportunity. See, they're all around you.
Muy buena opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
I embarrassed him.
Okay. Well, happy Wednesday to everyone. Keep your eyes open for immigrants and ask for, they're the workers. Maybe they're the gardeners. You don't know.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christy. It was an amazing, and like always, this is being recorded. This is going to be on the YouTube channel that you can access and listen to this again. Thank you very much, everybody, and we see you later. Talking about immigrants or people that speak Spanish, tonight we have the call in Spanish. Make sure you have people there. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Have an amazing day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.